This scrap of cotton and ink is, by every measure that keeps you alive, worthless. You can't eat it. You can't burn it. And yet, people trade a year of their life for a stack of them. The most powerful institutions on earth will jail you to get it. In one lifetime, it has lost almost everything it could buy, and we still trust it with all we own. So why does the dollar have any value at all? We're here to ask the simple question behind everything worth anything. Why money? Most of us never even touch it anymore. It's a number on a screen, a glowing figure in an app. So whatever gives it value, it clearly isn't the paper, and it isn't the ink. In our last video, we found that gold won because of chemistry. It was the one metal physics chose. But the dollar passes none of those tests. It isn't rare. It isn't durable. Anyone with the right machine can print more of it in seconds. It fails every single test that gold passed. So if gold's value came from the laws of nature, where on earth does the dollar's value come from? The answer isn't one thing. It's a stack of invisible forces hidden in plain sight. Ask most people what backs the dollar, and they'll say gold. They picture a giant vault stacked with bars, one for every bill. And for a long time, that was almost true. The dollar was a claim ticket. You could, in theory, walk into a bank, hand over your paper, and walk out with real gold. But that link was cut in 1971. After that, the gold backing was gone, completely. So if you opened up a modern dollar and asked what is holding it up, the honest answer is nothing you can hold. No metal, no object, no vault sitting somewhere with your name on it. And that should terrify you, but it doesn't. You spend these every day without a second thought. So what is going on? There's a reason it still works. 3 reasons, actually. Here is the first force, and it's the one almost nobody sees. Imagine a brand new country prints a brand new money. Why would anyone want it? At first, no one does. It's just colored paper. So the government does something clever. It says, every year you owe us a tax, and there is only one thing we will accept to pay it. This paper. Not gold. Not your crops. This paper, or you go to prison. History actually did this. To force people to use their new money, some colonial rulers put a tax on every house, and only their paper could pay it. Overnight, farmers who wanted nothing to do with the stuff had to go and earn it. Suddenly, everyone needs the paper. The state didn't make the money valuable by decree. It made it necessary, and necessity does the rest. Watch how this becomes a loop that feeds itself. The government demands taxes in dollars. So citizens must earn dollars. So they sell their work and their goods for dollars. So businesses must hold dollars to pay everyone. And now the whole economy runs on dollars. And the tax was just the seed that started it. Economists have a blunt name for this. They say taxes drive the money. The dollar isn't valuable because it's pretty or rare. It's valuable because the most powerful institution in the country will only take this to settle the one debt you can't escape. Refuse, and the consequences are very real. But it isn't the whole story, because plenty of things are legally money, and people still refuse to trust them. Which brings us to the second force, trust. And this one is stranger than it sounds. A dollar is only worth something to you because you're sure the next person will take it. The shopkeeper accepts your bill because he's sure his landlord will accept it. The landlord accepts it because he's sure the bank will. It's a chain of belief, and every link is just one person betting the next person believes too. Nobody actually checks the foundation. There is no foundation to check. The whole thing floats on shared expectation. This is what people mean when they call money a collective fiction. Not a lie, a fiction we all agree to keep telling, because the moment we stop, it stops working. The dollar is real exactly as long as we all act like it is. Now the third force, and this is what makes the dollar different from every other currency on the planet. It isn't just America's money, it's the world's money. When countries save for a rainy day, they don't stockpile their own currency, they stockpile dollars. About 58% of all the money governments hold in reserve worldwide is held in dollars, down from over 70% in the year 2000, but still more than half the planet's savings in one country's currency. So even if you live nowhere near America, you probably want dollars. Your bank holds them. Your pension holds them. That's a demand no other money comes close to. Everyone wants the thing everyone else wants. It feeds on itself. And there is one commodity that locks this in: oil. For decades, almost every barrel of oil on Earth has been bought and sold in dollars. A refinery in Japan buying crude from the Middle East doesn't pay in yen. It pays in dollars. So every country that needs energy, which is every country, needs a pile of dollars first. Think about what that means. The single most important resource on the planet runs on America's money. That builds in a constant planet-sized hunger for the dollar that has nothing to do with America at all. A few countries have tried to sell their oil in other currencies. It has never quite stuck. People call this arrangement the petrodollar. It is a big part of why the whole system holds together, and why some countries quietly wish it didn't. There's one more reason, and it might be the deepest. When the world gets scared, it runs toward the dollar. In a crash, a war, a panic, investors everywhere sell what they're holding and pile into United States dollars and American government debt, because it's the one thing almost everyone still trusts to hold its value. It's the financial equivalent of a safe harbor in a storm. And here is the strange loop. The dollar is seen as safe mostly because everyone treats it as safe. Nobody wants to be the one left holding a currency the rest of the world won't take. So the safest move is always to hold what everyone else is holding. The dollar's real strength isn't gold, and it isn't law. It's that quitting it has become almost impossible.
If you're enjoying this, a quick subscribe means you won't miss the next one. Now back to it.
So let's put it all together. This is the real answer. The dollar has value because of taxes. The state forces a baseline demand for it. Because of trust, we each believe the next person will take it. And because of reserve status, the whole world already runs on it. Notice what's missing from that list: gold, silver, any object at all. There is nothing physical under the modern dollar. It is held up entirely by law, by belief, and by habit. 3 invisible pillars, and not 1 ounce of metal. Let that sink in. The most trusted money in human history is backed by nothing you could ever hold in your hand. And most days, it works astonishingly well. You tap a card and the world hands you what you want. But pillars made of belief have a weakness, and it's a big one. Here's the weakness. If a dollar isn't tied to anything real, there's no hard limit on how many can exist. Someone can simply make more, and over time they do. Look at the number of dollars in the world. For most of history, it crept upward. Then it began to climb. And in recent decades, it went near vertical. Look at what happened in 2020. In a matter of months, the United States created trillions of new dollars, growing the entire supply of dollars by roughly a fifth in a single year. More money isn't automatically a disaster, but there's a basic law underneath it. When the supply explodes, while the amount of real stuff to buy does not, each unit buys less. That's not a conspiracy, it's just arithmetic, and it has a name you felt in your own wallet: inflation. We treat inflation like prices going up, but flip it around. It's the value of your money going down. So take that same climbing line and turn it over. Each dollar quietly buys a little less than the year before. Slowly, it's almost invisible. Across a lifetime, it's staggering. Since the Federal Reserve opened in 1913, the dollar has lost more than 96% of what it could buy. A dollar from 1913 buys about 3 cents today. The same coffee that cost a nickel back then is a few dollars now. And the coffee didn't change. The bill in your hand is a slow leak. The number stays, it still says $1. But what it buys quietly drains away. And that slow leak is the gentle version. There is a fast version. And it is terrifying. So what does all of this mean for you, holding a few of these bills right now? It means cash quietly melts in your hand. $100 tucked under a mattress back in 1990 has lost more than half of what it could once buy. Just sitting there, doing nothing is a choice, and inflation charges you for it. Think of it as a slow, silent tax. Nobody votes for it. Nobody ever hands you the bill. But everyone who holds the currency pays it a little more every single year. Which is exactly why people don't keep their life savings in cash. They're running from the leak. Because the three pillars, taxes, trust, reserve status, only hold while people believe. And belief is not a law of nature. It is a mood. It can shift. You can see the smallest version of it at any failing bank. A rumor spreads that the money might not be safe. A queue forms on the street, and everyone tries to pull their cash out at once, cash the bank never actually had sitting in a drawer. That is a bank run. It has happened in living memory, in countries that thought they were perfectly safe. Now take that same fear and spread it across an entire country's money. The slow leak becomes a flood, and we have watched it happen. More than once, and every time it began the same quiet way, with ordinary people slowly losing faith. In Germany, in 1923, the government printed money to pay its debts, and the value collapsed. At the peak, prices doubled every few days. People needed wheelbarrows of cash for a loaf of bread. They burned banknotes for heat because the paper was worth more as fuel than as money. Children stacked bricks of cash like toy blocks in the street. Decades later, Zimbabwe printed a single note for $100 trillion. One bill, 100 trillion, and it could barely buy a bus ticket. In both cases, the paper never physically changed. What vanished was the belief, and once a crowd stops believing, no law can force them back. The money becomes exactly what it always physically was: paper. So here is the deepest idea in this whole story. Gold, we said, is no one's promise. The dollar is the opposite. The dollar is pure promise. It is a collective agreement and nothing else. Underneath it, there is no metal, no object, no flaw. There is only the shared choice of millions of people to keep treating it as real. That is its genius and its danger at once. The genius: a society can build money out of trust alone, and then use it to build almost anything. Roads, hospitals, armies, whole cities, a trip to the moon, all financed with a promise. A pure idea, doing the work of a mountain of gold. The danger: trust is the one flaw that can vanish overnight. The dollar isn't backed by gold, it's backed by us, by the quiet belief that tomorrow will look a lot like today. So why does the dollar have value? Not because of paper, not because of gold. It has value because a government demands it, because we all believe in it, and because the whole world already runs on it. It is faith made spendable, the most powerful thing humans ever built out of pure agreement. But you may have noticed the catch. All of that power sits in someone's hands. A government can print more. Your money depends on people you will never meet. So a small group of people asked a dangerous question. What if you could build money that needs no promise? Something scarce, like gold, but digital. Something no government can print and no one can switch off. They built it. They called it Bitcoin. And whether it actually works is a question for another day. Because every one of these questions comes back to the same place we started. Why money?